professional procrastinator. Raise your hand if you identify as a procrastinator. Anyone? Yes, yes, no, some of you. I definitely was like a professional procrastinator, always waiting for the 12th hour. And I get it. I was also the type of procrastinator who was a spinner, started lots of projects and finished none. Does anybody identify with the spinner? Lots of projects and finished none. Yeah, back in 2007, I started literally in 1 year, 6 companies, 6 websites, 6 logos. And I guess what I had? I had 6 failures because I was trying to figure out my purpose coming out of my divorce. I was a professional procrastinator, starting all these businesses, finishing none. And because of those failures, I then lacked a lot of self-esteem. I felt stupid that I had started all of these things and nothing was coming to fruition. And then I was lucky enough to find out about the Clarity Catalyst, took it as a student. It took me to the next level. And really helped with my self-esteem and my self-love and my confidence. But I was still procrastinating, even inside of all that. And I really wanted to overcome it. So I created a whole formula around how to overcome procrastination. And it took my whole life to the next level. So having Clarity Catalyst, learning it as a student, and then later becoming a trainer, and now the trainer of trainers, but really implementing these different structures and tools for the self-sabotager that lives inside all of us. It helped me break through procrastination. And now with AI, the things that I still kind of procrastinate about because they're very tasky and boring, I'm now able to use AI to just bypass all of that. Once I designed this formula to move past procrastination with very simple tools, and this is back, now we're going back to 2007, immediately my career took off. And I became a Hay House published author. I was able to write a book in 4 months. With the help of a structure that I put in place for myself to overcome procrastination. And then from there, I was lucky enough to get on a Hay House radio show where I was sandwiched in between Wayne Dyer and Esther Hicks for 3 years. And then that led to taking my career to another level where I knew people all over the world. I created a beautiful retreat company. I got to travel so many different places, Bali and Santorini and India and Africa and Tuscany, doing give back retreats all over the world. And then, of course, I have this amazing coaching business that I love. I get to make a difference in the lives of others, but none of that would have been possible if I hadn't really focused. If I allowed myself to keep spinning. I had all of these ideas and I used to try to do them all at once. And then I said, no, let me just put them all up on a shelf. And there was the book, and there was, the coaching company, and there was the different activities and things that I wanted to create for myself, the retreats. And I said, let me just do one at a time. Let me try to not do them all simultaneously and burn out and spread myself too thin. So I think sometimes we want to do everything and then nothing gets done. So I started being very specific. The first thing that I worked on was my coaching business. I got certified as a Clarity Catalyst trainer, and I had all these great ideas of retreats and books and podcasts and all the fun things and the TED Talks. And I just said, no, I have to learn from my mistakes. I have to just do one thing at a time. And so I put my head down and I got my coaching business going. And then I said, okay, now I'm going to write the book. And then I wrote the book, got that out there. Then I said, now I'm going to do the radio show, got that out there. Now I'm going to do the retreat business. And I did it very systematically. And that then and only then was when I started experiencing real success, is when I just put the blinders on and focused on one thing at a time. And until that was coasting, then I went into creating. And we have these, and sometimes you can do two things simultaneously. I mean, inside of everything, we're doing multiple things. But now I feel like because of AI, we can do a lot more. We won't be as spread so thin. So now I see myself still doing one thing at a time, but I'm finishing it so much quicker that I'm able to go to the next thing. So what it's doing is it's just speeding up the time that it takes to get something done versus trying to do it all at once simultaneously. So what I'm about to teach you, it's nothing special that I've done, that my students have done, except we've followed this valuable formula. And of course you can too. So why do we struggle at achieving our vision? Well, number one, we might just be unclear as to what that next vision is. Or we know what it is and we procrastinate. Or we may let fear of failure, fear of success, or barriers such as I'm too old, I'm not good enough. That could keep us playing small. We fail to just take action because maybe sometimes we don't know what action step to take. We don't have the blueprint. We're not sure. And so we just kind of sit on the sidelines doing nothing. Or maybe we just get overwhelmed, either just by the largeness of our goal or by technology. I know a lot of my students that come work with me, like technology is not their strength. And it really can stop people. So we get overwhelmed by it. We're not sure how to use it to our advantage. So we do nothing. So here to me is the formula. Is first having a really clear vision. And then looking under the hood. Looking at how we procrastinate, why we procrastinate so that we can overcome it. We can't overcome anything that we're not aware of. So looking over the hood and then looking at what are the barriers? What are the limiting barriers? I don't have enough time, money, I'm too old. What are those conversations? We want to pull those to the surface. And once we can clear that, then take action by having others, community, peer partners, coaches hold us accountable. And then finally, the new piece is having AI technology help us streamline our processes and accelerate our success. So now I'm going to throw the ball to you all. What do you want? What's that big next vision for you, that burning desire? And there could be a lot of things. I know my spinners have lots of them. But if we were to say, hold on, stop, this is the one, if I nail this, the rest actually could fall into place. And so let's just declare one of our visions, like the one that's either burning and calling and blinking the loudest, or the one that if this got accomplished, everything else would fall in place. And just on a blank piece of paper, just write it out for yourself first. I feel blank that I have or I am now blank. Like mine was, my last one was, I feel ecstatic, because that's how I always like to feel, is ecstatic that I have now created a collective community of coaches and entrepreneurs that help each other get to the next level. And when you're done, just put it in the chat. maybe it's like, I feel empowered that I am now a coach with a website. So what's the emotion you will feel when that vision comes to fruition? I feel blessed and excited that I've now started to coach in a group setting. Beautiful. I feel proud of myself and empowered that I'm thriving coach making $5,000 a month. Love it. I feel excited that I'm helping others achieve their goals. I feel fulfilled that I'm now a coach. So here's the good news and the bad news. The only thing that's in the way of that vision is you. And I know sometimes it feels like exterior circumstances are in the way of that vision. You know, as humans, we tend to point the finger outwards. And if we just own it and say, the only thing that's in the way of it is me. Well, I have kids that are young, or I don't know enough, or I don't have the money or the time. You know, we do all this. We do this dance. This is the dance we do. But if we can just pull it in and go, you know what? No. The only thing that is in the way of me and this vision coming to fruition is me. Because this is the only thing that we can shift. We can't change the fact that we have young children, or the amount of money that's in the bank account, or the time that we have, or what happened to us when we were younger. We can't change any of that. But what we can change is our own inner landscape. So if we could just own that, we're already more than halfway there. So I want you to all think about, you know, what you wrote in the chat, and think about the tasks that are required to have that goal become a fruition. And then think about, how do you show up? You know, thinking about, you're sitting there at the computer and you've carved out this amount of time to work on your business, because a lot of you are writing about your businesses, right? And all of a sudden you're either sitting there and you get so afraid or overwhelmed that you just are like a deer in headlights. You're just stopped and you just do nothing. Or like we were speaking about earlier, you spin, you start this, and now you're doing this, and now you're doing this, and you're over here and you're over there, you're all over the place. Or you're a staller. I am a professional staller. I have so many tools still to help me with stalling. That's like when you sit down and you're like ready to work on your business or your book or your podcast or whatever it is. And you're like, okay, here we go. And then you're like, oh, wait, I have to pee. And then you go pee, and then you come back and you're like, ding. Oh, wait, I got to check my email, you know, and we do. Oh, I'm thirsty. I got to change the laundry. And then the hour is over. And we've done everything else except for the thing that was going to move us towards our goal. So we could probably be all three, all of us, but yeah, we're all guilty of all three. But what's your like main one? What's the main one that overwhelmed, spinning, stalling? Okay. Yeah. So we're going to talk a lot about the one where you feel stopped and overwhelmed in a little bit. And I spoke a little bit about the spinner, right? Like, get that notebook, put all those amazing creative ideas in the book, and then take out the one that's blinking the loudest. Do that, have it come to enough fruition where it doesn't need all your attention. And then, and only then, go get the next one. You know, really try to bring something into fruition, not just like stage 2 for everything. You know, get something going. It's out there. It's effective. It's producing income. It's happening. And now you're ready for the next one. because then you might be still working on this, right? But it's at a level of like coasting. Really get the distinction between creating something new and then going into the space of coasting. Like, for example, I created, so many different trainings, right? Now they're already created, and now I'm doing this training. I don't have to think about them so much. I don't have to study my notes before I go live. Like, those are done. I'm in coasting with those now. But then there's these other things here that I want to create, and I've got to do those one at a time, or else my head spins off my neck. And then the stallers. So here's my trick. I will get really specific and intentional about what I'm going to work on before I sit down for a block of time. And so I'll have like an hour block. But before I sit down, I have 10 minutes carved out of that hour where I will handle any distractions. I will pee, I will get my water, I will turn my phone off, I will change the laundry, I will do anything that I know that I might want a squirrel shiny thing about and handle it. And then I set my timer for 50 minutes, which is what I will have left. And I'll write down on a Post-it note, your butt is not coming out of this seat until the timer goes off. Like, I literally need that like a police in front of me. And it works. It absolutely works. Or you can also do this with each other. We do batching days where we get in there together and we say, okay, guys, Vivian, what are you working on? Erica, what are you working on? Nancy, what are you working on? And everybody's like, okay, for the next hour and a half, I'm going to write 3 blogs. Awesome. Erica, what are you up to? She's like, I'm going to make 3 videos. Great. Nancy, she's like, I'm going to do six newsletters because I can with ChatGPT in that short of amount of time. I'm like, amazing. And I'll declare it too. I do this with my Shine Your Light Academy. And then we go dark, right? Everybody puts the thing on Zoom, no camera. And then we go do it. And it's just amazing. When you have accountability and community and you're declaring, and then you're like creating time, all of a sudden it gets done. I've gotten more done in a day on my batching days with community than I have in an entire month. It's unbelievable. So here are different things that make us procrastinate. The first is a perception that a task is unpleasant and overwhelming. So we will just avoid it like the plague. And there are definitely parts of our business. Who likes follow-up? Not me. Anybody like to follow up? And I'm like a very personal person. Like, I'll go networking and it's just like, and then I'll have this stack of business cards. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't know why. Sometimes that comes up, right? We just don't want to do it. No reason. It's just unpleasant. It's overwhelming. We don't know where to start. And so we just don't do it. We procrastinate. We dance around it. Something that I decided to do is, well, I'll get to that in a little bit. Then we have the fear of the unknown. I'm going to go through these one by one. Fear of change, perfectionism, fear of failure, success, disorganization, boredom, or barriers. So let's break it down. So another thing that I like to say is overwhelmed is just a thought. When I have that overwhelming thought and I'm like going into overwhelm, I go, you know what? That's just a thought. You ever have like an experience where you could call 2 people and they could be going through the same exact things in life. And one of them's like, oh my God, I'm like a chicken with my head cut off and I have a million things to do. And I can't even talk to you right now. And the other person is like, hey, how are you? I have a lot going on right now. I'm doing the best that I can do. And if we can chat a little later, that would be great. They both have the same things on their to-do list. One is allowing the overwhelm to overwhelm them. And the other one is detaching from it and saying, overwhelmed is just a thought. And so in every single moment, you get to choose who you're being when you have a lot going on or when something is big. So saying overwhelmed is just a thought is a great way to get over overwhelm, as well as chunking things down. And we'll get to that in a little bit. I love you guys, Deanna. Fear of the unknown. A lot of times we've got this big vision, but we're like, well, what? I don't know what's going to happen when this happens. And what if this happens and that happens? We make up all these stories. Guess what? If we knew what was going to happen every single day, it would drive us crazy. Anybody see the Groundhog's Day movie? It drove him crazy. We don't want to know what's going to happen. That would be so boring. It would drive us nuts. So instead of fearing the unknown, I always say to myself, let me just dance in the unknown. This is fun. This is fun. I don't know what's going to happen. Let me be open. Let me be in a sense of adventure versus a sense of dread. So instead of fearing the unknown, dancing in the unknown. Fear of change. So for those of you that have taken the Clarity Catalyst, we talk about impermanence. And what impermanence means is the only thing we can be certain of is uncertainty, and that nothing stays the same. And we know this as humans. We know that we're all going to die at the end of our lives. We know that nothing is permanent, yet we are so surprised when something changes. We're like, what? I thought we would be here together forever. I thought I would, have this house forever, this job nothing's forever. So if we can really live inside of, thank goodness for change versus the fear of it, because if it wasn't for change, the boy wouldn't become a man, the apple seed wouldn't become the apple, the seasons would never change. It'd be like living in South Florida all the time. Perfectionism. Who's a perfectionist? So when you are launching, allow yourself to be in phase 1, then phase 2, then phase 3. Like, give yourself permission to edge out. Because if you stand there waiting for it to be perfect, it's never going to be perfect. They did that amazing book, the 5 regrets of the dying. And number 1 was that people didn't live their purpose. And I know that most of you, I think almost everybody in this training tonight, is excited to do what you love and love what you do. And that's so awesome. But if we sit there hemming and hawing over colors and logos and website names, and it's just like your community is waiting for you. And if we let those little details be in the way of them having the tools of transformation and getting the chance to work with you and really see the change, the world is not going to be better because of it if you hesitate too much because it's not perfect. And I'm all for putting out something that's polished and good, but it can always be better. And I'm constantly going into the courses that I've created and the trainings that I have, and I make them better every single time that I do them. And it's just like a little bit every time. So I'd rather you, fall on your face, dare to suck, dare to be wrong, dare to make a mistake, instead of just standing on the sidelines. If you fall forward and fail, at least you're moving forward. I think this is probably the hugest one, why people get stuck and they don't really step into their vision. It's because they either have a fear of failure or the fear of success. And I remember right before I submitted my book to Hay House, I was having a phone call with a good friend of mine, Aaron Massney. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I should really go for this, because what if actually this all happens? And, I had all these dreams and goals that's going to take me away from my son. And like, he's a priority and I shouldn't really dream too big. And he's like, well, why don't you just cross that bridge when you get to it? Instead of creating a whole scenario. And he goes, and when you cross that bridge and you're faced with the choice of this or your son, you could choose. But at least get to the place where you're at the power of choice of that success. And the funny thing was, when I got the book deal and I got the radio show and everything started happening, it was hysterical, because you know what? They sent me an entire professional radio setup in a box that came to my house in Fort Lauderdale. My radio show time was 10 a.m. on Tuesdays when my son was at school. I worked online and taught webinars when he was in the other room for 1 hour a night. I never had to leave my kid. Not once. This unbelievable, beautiful, successful career. I didn't have to go anywhere. And when I ran retreats, he would stay with his dad. Like it just all worked out. And all of these fears and all this stuff that I made up, none of it came true. But I'll always remember Aaron in my ear, like, step into the success and then choose. I could have said no to something if they said, oh, you're going to have to move to California, or I could have said no, but at least I was at the power of choice. And look at all the nonsense that I made up about being a successful coach. None of it was true. None of it. I got to do every single thing from the comfort of my home. It was amazing. And then some of us have this fear of success because we're like, oh my gosh, what if I supersede my friends and family and they're not going to want to hang out with me? Again, let that be your problem. That you're so successful that everybody gets upset. And you'll just do one thing. You'll fire up your G6 and take them to Tahiti. I promise you, they're not going to be that upset when that happens. And then the fear of failure. Oh, the fear of failure. That can stop us and cause that's what's really under perfectionism, procrastination, is that fear of failure. That just runs us, and above here, well, I don't have time and I have to do this. And, oh, I'm a perfectionist. Like, no. Like, just call it what it is. It's a fear of failure. And we all have it. And instead of pretending that we don't, if we can just say, okay, great. What's the worst that will happen if I fail? Like, actually write it down. And it's so silly. I'll waste time. People will laugh at me. I'll look stupid. Again, no one's paying attention. We are all so egotistical. We think that all of our friends and family are like stalking our Facebook, waiting for us to launch our businesses so that they can point and laugh. No one is paying attention. They are too busy worried about the things they're afraid to fail about. And so it's just all a big joke. And we create all of this scenario. And meanwhile, our clients, our community are waiting for us desperately. Some of you are health coaches. I know that. They could have diabetes, cancer, heart disease. Like, you have the tools of transformation to prevent that, to reverse that. My life coaches, my mindset coaches. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had students after they come out of the Clarity Catalyst and say to me, you know what? I was suicidal before your course. Thank you. I want to live. Like, And I'm not being dramatic. Like, this is what's true. And we're sitting there going, well, what if I look stupid? Who cares? Disorganization. So if you know me personally, you know I'm not an organized person. Thank God my boyfriend Sev has like a little bit of OCD, which makes him highly organized. Jessica is the most organized person. So is Jasmine and Debbie, and anybody that I have on my team is a Virgo and highly organized, because I'm not, and that's okay. So if you're not an organized person, you want to surround yourself with people who are organized. You want to build a team. You want to build a team. And in the beginning, I couldn't afford to build my team. So I bartered. I bartered with people that were organized and knew things that I didn't know. And I made sure that my back end was organized. I personally was not able to do that alone. And I still can't to this day. It's not a skill of mine. And I'm okay with that. I am the most amazing coach. That's what I do really, really well. And so just like own your strengths, identify your weaknesses, create a team, create a community where you are working with other people that have different strengths and talents than you do. That's how we level up. I have never done anything by myself. I always bring in people that are super on it, super detailed, super organized. I am a visionary. That's where I shine. So know what those things are. And if you are organized, amazing. But in order to be really successful, you've got to have a good back end. You've got to have good systems in place. And if that is not your strength, find people that do that and barter coaching services with them. Say, hey, can you come in and do my invoices, set up my back end, whatever the things are that you're kind of falling apart around, and then barter your coaching with them until you can pay them. Thanks, Tiffany. Boredom. So a lot of times we procrastinate because there are things that we have to do to move our business forward that are boring. They're not fun. I don't like to post things on social media unless it's comedy. It really has nothing to do with my brand, because it's not fun for me. I want to be here in person with you guys. I want to be line dancing. I want to play pickleball. Like, those are the things that are fun for me. And then there's this other shit that's not fun. So, we got to pay away the pain sometimes, or build a team and get people to do what we don't want to do. But I'm telling you right now, using AI can help with those annoying artist tasks that you don't want to do. And in 20 seconds, it can do it for you. And barriers. So this is a really big one. So we're going to start just identifying the different barriers that we have that may be in the way of us and this amazing, successful business that is right outside of that. So let's look at some of the barriers that may stop us. And it's another thing that's kind of underneath the hood, right? We start procrastinating, but what's really under that is we have a conversation about our age. I'm too old or I'm too young. I've heard this also with different coaches, feeling intimidated because they're in their 20s or 30s. And now, how could I coach somebody in their 40s and 50s? They know so much more than me. And I always say to that, wait a minute, do they? They don't have the tools that you know. Another barrier could be the trauma, abuse, or unresolved past experiences. We feel like we can't move forward because of the trauma. Relationships. We might be in a relationship with somebody who's trying to hold us back, even out of love. I remember when I became a coach, my ex-husband and my father both were like, it was 2008. And they were like, what are you, crazy, becoming a coach right now? We're in the middle of a recession. This isn't going to work. You're going to fail. And they were actually coming from a space of love, but underneath that love was fear. So you might be in a relationship or with your parents or your partners or friends that are kind of like telling you not to do your passion. And so that's a barrier for you. You might be like, you know what? I have 6 kids, a full-time job. I don't have time. I don't have time to do this. Or I don't have the money. I started this business on a shoestring. I burned through my divorce money, and then I had about $7,000 left. I spent $6,600 on my Clarity Catalyst certification, and that was it. And I built this business on barter and on a shoestring. So I know that it's possible. And a lack of confidence, imposter syndrome. You know, I hear this all the time. I'll hear coaches say, well, I don't, I'm new at this and I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, but you're trained and developed in something that's not new. That's what I used to say to myself. You know, I'm like, oh my God, who's gonna hire me? I just started. And I was like, wait a minute, my training is from Stanford University. It's been around for over 40 years. Like, it's tried and true. Let me just sell that, not myself. So let's look at which one for you, for the 3, put it down on a piece of paper, write the 3 that are the most alive for you that you think might keep you stuck. Is it your age, unresolved trauma, a relationship that you're in keeps you stuck, your conversation about time, money, lack of confidence, imposter syndrome? So go ahead and just write 3 that you think are the ones most alive for you. Okay. So just by doing that and putting a little flashlight on it is already starting to clear it, because a lot of times we're like, no, I'm doing what I'm doing and I don't understand why I'm not creating the results that I'm creating. I don't get it. But if we allow ourselves to be really authentic and vulnerable and honest about what's going on underneath the hood, then we can shift and change it in a second, versus like, I'm fine. And like, no clients are coming, nothing's happening, we're procrastinating, we're all over the place, we're spinning, and we're just dancing as fast as we can. We're so busy being busy, but no results. That's when we have to stop and really say what's going on, because 90% of what is being attracted in is being attracted in by our subconscious. And if our subconscious is, I'm too old, my trauma's in the way, my partner won't be happy if I succeed, I don't have time, I don't have the money, who do I think I am to do this? If like that's the underlying conversation, it won't happen. And so to lift it up to the surface and to just be honest about it is how we can clear it. So let's look at facts versus perspectives. We want to look at these 3 things that you just wrote down and say, what is the fact about this? You know, my fact is I am 52, or I just started my coaching business. Or the fact is, I don't have money to spend on my new business. That's a fact. And then the cool thing is we actually get to choose the perspective. A lot of times we choose a perspective that keeps us stuck, that keeps us up until 4 a.m. instead of choosing a perspective that's going to just propel us forward. So take one area that you feel stuck, the age, the trauma, the time, the money, out of the 3 that you wrote. And I want you to declare a fact about that thing. And then I want you to write, what is your stuck perspective? So this is an example. Is fact, I just started my coaching business. Stuck perspective is no one will hire me because I'm new at this. Moving forward perspective is I'm certified in a training that provides amazing results that's been around a long time. People would be excited to sign up for it based on its proven success. So go ahead and just pick one of the three now and just write down the fact, the stuck perspective, and the moving forward perspective. And then when you're done, just type in done, or you know what, type in your new perspective. Type in when you're done, your forward movement perspective. The time is like, you know, if you're stuck with time, the fact is I have a full-time job and two kids. That's a fact. Okay. A lot of my time is spent on my job and my kids. The stuck perspective is I don't have enough time to do anything. The forward perspective is I have all the time in the world. I'm going to just do a little bit each day. I can only do what I can do, and that's the best that I can do. Whatever we resist persists. And if we focus on what we don't have, that expands versus saying, you know what, I got 15 minutes today. It is unbelievable, Jean. When you are intentional, what you can create in 15 minutes or 1 hour. We think we need 8 hours. No, we need to just stop being distracted and get clear and just go in and handle what we need to handle. Most of the time, like if you don't have kids and you don't have a job, you're just walking around in circles. We have too much time. That's another thing. You can have too much time. I loved when I had to pick up Cole at 3:00. Was I productive? Now I'm like hemming and hawing. I'm all over the place. Trust me. Sometimes when you only have a little bit of time, you have no choice. You got to get it done. All right. So let's see these new perspectives. I have all the training and knowledge to help others. I use my habit change coaching methods to move myself forward instead of being a non-earning mom and wife. I am a rock star and my students will feel amazing using the skills I can teach them. So put in your new perspectives. I am certified. I have a website. I have an email address. I have a mission statement, and I am ready to rock. Go, Daryl. I'm a certified health coach with a medical background, and I can help people. And I'm good at managing, my coaching skills. I'm unique, inspiring, hard worker. I can be very productive when I focus on what I really want and set goals for myself. So once we figure out our clarity in our vision, we identify how we procrastinate, we get stuck, we're spinning, we're stalling, and create the systems to overcome that. And then look under the hood, bring up whatever barriers, the fear of failure, the fear of success, the perfectionism, the age, the money, and just handle it and deal with it and create a new perspective. That's the clearing. And then it's time to take action, to not think about it, to not talk about it, to not talk about it and not think about it, to just do it. So think about your vision right now. And let's create a measurable results action plan. So the what, the how, and the by when. So the what is your vision, the how is it going to happen, and the by when is the date it will happen by. So everybody create your how, what, by when for your vision. Just the high level version of it, the big picture, not all the little details yet, just the big picture of it, the declaration. What are you doing? How are you doing it? And by when? High level. Then we go granular. So I'm sure at this moment in time, most of you have worked with mind maps. And I love to work with mind maps. They're just like a visual to-do list, and you just put that big vision in the middle. And then you just outline all the different steps that it takes to do that. So here was mine for my new Roar Collective. Resilient, optimistic achievers rising. So first, I had to create the membership levels. I had to price out the packages. I had to write the copy with the help of AI. I had to find the photos with the help of AI. I had to market to my community and write a sales page with the help of AI. Create a membership calendar, create my bonus course pages, create an application questions, launch the membership, review all applications, choose the member, and kick off the collective. So that was my big vision in the middle. And then all of the action steps to go with it.